And well, it's so great to have you back here again. We got a totally different new set of things to talk about today. So, with the rural partners here in Taylorville and the Christian County, what is it you guys are doing with the rural partners?
Well, Illinois Rural Partners is made up of folks, the board from across the state, economic development folks, TIF counselors, uh, telehealth, uh, broadband, just a cross section of people interested in economic development, especially and focused in rural communities here in Illinois. And so, two or three times through the year, we like to focus on communities that have and exhibit success stories through their businesses and their growth. And I threw Taylorville in as, to me, a shining example of a lot of businesses that are showing that success and making rural Illinois what it is today.
Absolutely. And it's really great to see Taylorville mixed in there with the other uh, small towns, small rural towns. And I think Taylorville definitely earns a spot in that. What made you believe Taylorville fit in there? What were some of the little aspects that made this such a great nominee?
Well, over my time, I grew up here in Taylorville for the most part, and my profession has carried me across Illinois. I can say I've been in every county. I know where Mulkeytown is. I know where Batchtown is. I'm kind of a geek when it comes to knowing where these small towns are that are unique to Illinois and to really any state. Having traveled eastern states, I've mainly been through rural towns. But coming back to my hometown, especially during COVID, we opened 4 restaurants, non-franchise, during COVID, which I thought was just astounding. And then having been around and friends with the folks that own CTI, what a success story there. 2 kids come out of high school, create CTI, and we see what it is today. And that's where our showcase tour will start that day. But then we have things like Dear Yesteryear. We have Small Town Taylorville, our car show. Uh, we have so many things that is is highlighting our community. Cindy Frasina, what she's doing with the various buildings around this square. You know, we're going to have Jack's on Main, a rooftop restaurant. It is, to me, when I look at those things, but what we're going to do that's unique is not only focus on the square, but we have 2 buses that are going to give people a perimeter view of Taylorville. And we'll start with the high school, talk about what the high school's doing, and take a little trip past Dear Yesteryear. Of course, as we start the morning, we'll have an introduction by Mayor Barry and a tour of CTI. But then as we go out on this bus tour, we'll do the high school and then swing around and come in by the hospital and HSHS to show our footprint for healthcare. We'll see, we'll come around and be on Spresser, go down Spresser. We'll have to point out Angelo's, of course, and an iconic restaurant to Taylorville, and then on down and we go past the fairgrounds. And this is what's nice about the bus tour. We're going to be able to highlight a lot of our gyms here in the community. We go around, Sloan's. Well, Sloan's is a dealership here in town, but to Christian County, it's the world's largest John Deere dealership. And of course, we have McLean Food Distribution Center, the airport, AGCO. So just in Ashworship, we're able to highlight some of our most notable businesses. And not to have left out, we'll also be out on the economic development site out by Trinity, north of Taylorville. But then as we swing around 48, the bypass, we'll be able to talk about how we responded to the tornado. We'll have a fact sheet about Taylorville's just astounding success story and how we were able to help our community, lift our community up after the tornado. We come on around and we'll see the YMCA and ADM in the distance. our coal mine museum, our historic site there with the Lincoln courthouse, and then we'll come in town and we'll do a little bit of a jog coming in town, and we'll go past Pillars, a church that's become a meeting place for a lot of our events now, which was an old church. Go past the Methodist Church, which just added a new addition that's going to be a benefit to to Taylorville and actually Christian County. And then we end up on the square, and we'll be having lunch at Nesty's on the second floor overlooking the courthouse. And there we'll have uh, Steve Craigs talk about small town Taylorville. Uh, we'll have Linda Allen talk about the chamber. Uh, and then we'll have this nice lunch, and then we'll do a brief tour of the square. Look at what dear yesteryear folks, the Skinners are doing. We'll look at and talk a little bit more about small town Taylorville and the car show. Of course, Cindy Forsina, what she's doing, and we're seeing those projects as they're ongoing. It's not something that we're dreaming about. These are projects that are actually taking place, and we'll look at the new paintings, the new signs around the square. Um, we're just doing a great many things to me that make Taylorville stand out. A lot of times we hear about, oh, woe is rural Illinois. We're losing population. We're just not doing well. That's not the story in Taylorville. 4 weeks ago, we were in Macomb, and Macomb has almost a similar story. And what was unique to Macomb was that's where the birthplace of the game Monopoly was created, and they've created a total program around their square talking about Monopoly. Canton had a story of a business that moved out of Indianapolis back to Canton. The person that brought that business back went to high school, grew up in Canton, decided he loved the community, moved his business back there. 700 employees, medical instruments. We have those same stories here. And so that's why we want to highlight the people, the businesses I've mentioned. And I just think Taylorville is a great place to showcase, to tell our story.
Yeah, without a doubt. That day is going to be great, of the history and geography of Taylorville, of course,
Mhm.
to give people a look at what you could be missing, because there's a lot that you could be missing that you need to know about. Now, this is the July 12th that this will be happening on, correct?
Yes, July 12th, we start at 10 o'clock at CTI. And then, as I explained, the bus tour leaves there, and we end up back on the square with lunch at Nesty's.
Perfect. All right. I want to talk all about that bus tour and get even in more in depth of everything that's going to happen on that July 12th at 10 a.m. It's going to be great. We're going to take our first quick little break. I'm sitting down with Dick Breckenridge. This has been great so far. He's part of the Rural Partners, and he's making Taylorville known here with as part of the small rural towns. Has been great so far. You're listening to the WTIM morning show. Thank you to our live sponsors, People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. You're listening to the WTIM information station.
Your information station, WTIM. information station, WTIM.
Welcome back into WTIM with Tim, your information station. We are in the midst of the WTIM morning show. My name is Tim Zalabak. Thank you so much to our live stream sponsors, People's Bank and Trust and Landmark of Taylorville. We'll get right back into it here with Dick Breckenridge, part of the Rural Partners, and they have a great event coming to us on July 12th. We'll be showcasing the city of Taylorville with a bus ride starting at 10 a.m. We've pretty much talked most about the itinerary, but we're going to go into a little bit more in depth of what's going on there and what the Rural Partners do as Rural Partners. So, Dick, can you explain just a little bit about with the Rural Partners what they provide?
Well, as I indicated earlier, our board is made up of many different professions, economic development, TIF development, healthcare, broadband, those that typically you see throughout Illinois and rural communities. And we're under the umbrella of the Western Illinois Institute of Rural Affairs. And through the Institute, which also has a connection with NIU, Northern Illinois University, and the University of Illinois, we reach out to rural communities to connect with them, to find out what are the issues. We create opportunities and help remove impediments, be it TIF development, be it something with transportation, or one of the focuses is communities that have lost their grocery store. And so we provide internships through VISTA and mapping. Mapping is a program that brings entities together in a community that may be different service clubs, that may be chambers, and brings them together to help them or to ensure that they're focused on what is doable and best for the community. That is a great program that we have. I would say if we've done 300, we may have done 500 across the state. And Taylorville is actually on that list for them to be here in a couple years. So we have these programs that are shepherded under the Institute of Rural Affairs at Western. They also host a economic development conference in Springfield, typically in the late fall, and or I should say in April was this last one. And it brings speakers in from all over the United States that tell stories or give us stories about their success stories and how they were able to accomplish the progress and the success they did in other rural communities. So that's the Institute is very important into the resource it gives us as we reach out to communities, as we showcase communities, and we're able to tell that story. We have a weekly newsletter, of course, the conference, and then our members talk about these showcases, just like we're doing here with WTIM. So we're getting the word out. We're getting the word out that there are success stories in rural communities, and that's a big objective of what we do. Talk about success, that it is out there. We are doing it, and then beyond that, we're here with a showcase. We're talking about the mapping and the VISTA, the transportation research, local foods. One of the things I've worked with the Institute on the last couple of years is, as we all know, Asian carp has been a big issue. Well, now named Kopi. Well, we helped businesses set up along the Illinois River that harvest the Kopi and then process them, and it goes to Asia as a food product and is very, very highly sought after over there. And as I mentioned, the grocery stores and such. And so we're looking at the rural community and what are the areas that we need to focus on? Is it bringing people together, entities, that service clubs that have a shared vision for the communities? Sometimes we get kind of separated, and the mapping program seeks to bring people together so we have a consistent vision that's beneficial to the community. So it's just having that conversation with these communities. It's sharing that success stories with other communities, and 102 counties in Illinois. So I was just looking at a number here. There are 888 communities, 10,000 and under in Illinois. So that's 888 opportunities that we have, all the way down to communities that are less than 200. And you would be surprised that in those small communities where we find success stories, even in the smallest of the small. So it's a fun group to be with, and we're able to come into Taylorville and showcase Taylorville and what we've done here, which we've done a lot of things that are really unique and putting Taylorville on the spotlight.
Absolutely. And those small towns matter. You're really doing the most here to let people know and see the success that these small towns have created, because they have as much opportunity and as much of a chance as other communities to do so. So this has been great. A little less than a minute here, Dick. Unfortunately, we could talk about this stuff all day. I want to talk about the July 12th one last time. Where can people meet for July 12th? It's at 10 a.m.
Well, it's for our board coming in here to Taylorville. And as I indicated, they come from all across the state. We'll be meeting at CTI. We'll have the mayor there and the chamber, economic development group here in Taylorville. They'll all be there to talk about their various programs. But again, we start at CTI at 10 o'clock. Our board will be on the buses as we tour Taylorville here. And we'll spend the day here up to, I think we should wrap things up around 3 o'clock. But we look forward to being here.
Perfect. Thanks so much for being on with us today, Dick.
Oh, thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. You've been listening to the WTIM Morning Show here on WTIM's Information Station.
Your information station, WTIM.